boys. We're going live now.
Oh, yeah, we're live right now.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hell yeah. So we were just talking about a mishap that Rev had before we started going live, and I just wanted to do this live. Oh, we'll get to that here in a moment.
We're not going to address the elephant in the room
We're
yet.
not going to address the elephant in the room. In fact, this is going to be a moment of suspense for anyone that's just who's just listening, not watching.
Act casual.
Act casual. Rev.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
So Rev was just talking about the LUL emote, and I just want to tell him, because he, said John Baines. He kind of said it with a question mark. May he rest in peace, Total Biscuit, our Lord and Savior. He is the whole reason the show even exists. Go leave like a love on anything Total Biscuit or John Bain. He is the LUL. In fact, if you guys are in the live chat of Twitch, go on ahead and just spam some lols in the chat.
I don't know who that is.
Total Biscuit was a very popular, prolific PC gaming critic. He had a podcast called the Co-Optional Podcast, which is now run by his wife, Jenna Bain. He passed away from prostate cancer or pancreatic cancer. I don't remember which. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I want to say. Very, very influential. One of my absolute favorite content creators of all time. Anyways, this is Next to Nothing, a show for gamers on a budget. I am your host, Danny K. With me, as always, Mr. Green Elite. How you doing, Mr. Green?
I'm off work and I'm here and I'm gonna have a good time.
You have been dealing with a lot of shit, as me and Green message back and forth quite a bit.
Hell.
It's kind of what happens when there's a confirmed case of corona in your workplace. Everywhere. There's shit everywhere.
There's shit everywhere. It's on the walls. How'd they get it on top of the ceiling fan? I don't know.
My other partner in crime, Revsven. How you doing, Revsven?
I am doing so well for multiple reasons. Like that guy over there.
Yes. Our guest this week is Eyepoke42, who is just giving us a real big first here. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just being cozy. I being in the house for so long, you just got to relax. There's too much tension, So,
for anyone who might be listening, who might just be listening, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any of the other platforms, where are you doing this podcast from?
Me?
Yeah.
All right. I am currently in my bathtub, the nice big one, the big bathtub. I got a candle lit, my shirt and tie. I'm being cozy in the tub. They used to have bubbles, but I didn't use enough, I guess.
The ambiance is on point.
It is.
Thank you.
The mood was really set when he lit the candle, that's for sure.
It's going to be a hot and steamy, sensual podcast.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, yeah.
For their pleasure. Eyepoke, for those who haven't met you before, tell the kind folks what you do and where everyone can find it.
Sure. Well, I'm a streamer turned YouTuber type guy. So I started streaming in March 2019 and converted about a few months back into YouTube for personal reasons, having a bunch of kids and a hectic lifestyle that going live is a little difficult for me. So the best place to watch my newest content is on YouTube, and the address is youtube.com/c/Eyepoke42.
Excellent. And what kind of content are people going to find over there?
It's going to be very, very casual gaming videos.
Excellent. So anyone who is interested in that, you are also on Instagram and on Twitter at Eyepoke42, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. So go check him out on all those social media platforms. We have one little bit of housekeeping here to do before we get into the meat of the show. We are still sponsoring SWA Motorsports racer Dead Shattern as he hits the track in the Outsider Racing League. Watch him rep the Next to Nothing logo every Saturday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time on SYM_TV on YouTube. Links are always in the description of this episode. And of course, if you guys are new to the show, welcome. If you like what we do here, follow us on Twitch, find us on all your favorite social media websites, subscribe on YouTube, and maybe even tell your friends. Any other housekeeping that we need to get out of the way, guys?
That was pretty concise.
Awesome. Well, Rev, you being the indie game master, just have a bunch of games, and you have another one to talk about this week.
Oh God, do I? Okay, so I was given the privilege / honor / opportunity to get in on the first episode of a game called Later Daters. Now, long story short, it's a dating sim that takes place in a retirement home. Long story slightly less short. You try to get it on with anybody and everybody you feel like you think you can get it on with. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get to do any of that in episode 1, but as the episodes come pouring out, your boy is going to try to throw down with some old ladies and some old dudes. We're just, I mean, everybody is that. So, all right, jokes aside and everything. One of the things that I actually kind of liked about this that really stuck out to me is the fact that it, like, the marketing for it, whenever they were reaching out for content creators, specifically, they said, allies of the LGBTQ community. And so it was one of those things like that. It's a very inclusive game that includes, gender neutral pronouns, along with, there's a transgender character, and so it's a very inclusive game, which is really cool to see. It also, as funny as the game is, I'm gonna actually tell you, it had some moments in it in that first episode that kind of take you aback, because you're sitting there being super goofy with it, having a lot of fun, but then it kind of hits you with some reality, because like a character that you never actually get to meet dies at during a poker game. Had no signs of bad health, nothing like that, and so, like, they have to go through the process of talking about what it's like to be living there, not knowing how long you have left. So it actually did take a pretty interesting turn for the serious there for a little bit. But all in all, there's a lot of goofiness and fun that goes along with it. It's actually, I'm all for goofy dating sims. I love them. I loved the Colonel Sanders dating sim. It was hysterical. But this one, having taken the serious turn, it was actually really intriguing. And I had people that, whenever they found out it was a single episode, were actually, like, bummed out. They were like, crap, I want to see more, and I was like, shit, me too. So it was pretty good. I liked it. I think it's available on Steam. I didn't see how much for chapter 1. Let me double check that real quick, because as far as I know, it is actually available for you to play. So we'll double check that real quick. But
Yeah.
of course, with it being a okay, it's only $6.55. Now, granted, it'll probably be $6.55 for each episode. And I don't know how many are coming. But for an episodic game where you actually get a few good hours of gameplay out of it, $6.55 is not bad, because we got I think a solid 3 hours out of that one episode. And there are multiple ways to play it. You could pick your character, your previous relationship status, and all that before you start it up. So for that price, I would say it's definitely worth checking into, if you're into the goofiness of that whole thing, but also still having that kind of deep storyline in the backdrop. You could literally run this on anything. It's a dating sim. That's one of the other things I like about it, is it doesn't matter how slow or whatever your computer is, how much you hate it. As long as you have 4 gigs of RAM, you're golden. You can run it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I really have on it right now. I would like to cover it more when more episodes come out, because I I have a feeling it's going to be a really fun game through and through.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I do wish it was. I didn't know that it was only going to be one episode at first, which I wish I did. It shows on the page, so if I would have actually taken like half a second to look at the Steam page before downloading it, I would have known that it was just part one. But it's a recommend on my list. It's a lot of fun, a lot of good story. Definitely check it out if it's your type of game.
Yeah. Did you say what all it's available on?
As of right now, I believe it is just available on Steam at the moment.
I was looking it up. It's if it's not released on these, they're at least planned to be on them. Nintendo Switch, Microsoft Windows, Mac OS, and Macintosh operating systems, which I don't know the difference between the Macintosh operating systems and the Mac OS. But
right. Now one thing they might do, I don't know, because I know a lot of episodic games like this, whenever they release them for console, they usually wait until it's completely out. I don't know if they're going to do the same with this. I could definitely double check that, but typically they do add those later on after it's all, because that's what happened with Bindi and the Ink Machine, because when I was on Xbox I wanted to play it for so long, but they just didn't have it. But it is showing here that it is already available on Switch, so it looks like it's the same $7.99 on Switch.
Excellent.
So you can get it on there. That's cool. I didn't know that they would release episodic stuff on consoles. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wait.
So overall, it's been an enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
Kind of getting into
absolutely.
like the nitty or grittier parts of it being a dating sim. You know, what kind of feedback does it give you for, does it just kind of tell you blatantly, Maxine liked that, Jimmy didn't like that, or is it a little bit more subtle in how it works?
It's a lot more subtle. Yeah. So like whenever you do something that like another character doesn't like, you can kind of read it on their face, but it doesn't outright tell you that was a bad move if this is who you're trying to hook up with. And you can always go back and like reconcile if you kind of pick up on something like that later. There's a lot of drama going on at first that you don't quite understand what's happening. Because you've got the super nosy like not really like office manager, I guess you would call her, but she's also a resident, aiming for her in episode 2. But you got her, and then she's trying to keep an eye on another person. If you try to get too snoopy with that person, they'll think you're being nosy and won't like you as much, and kind of vice versa. If you kind of let her do her own thing, the other one might. So like I don't think there's a way to just go and have like an all-out old person orgy, which is kind of a bummer. But that's no, yeah, it's pretty subtle, but still noticeable whenever somebody likes or doesn't like something.
So there's no geriatric eyes wide shut scene.
I don't think so. We've talked about that, and I still cannot remember about Eyes Wide Shut, but I don't think so. Now, like I said, you do come to find out like one of the characters had like both a husband and a wife at some point. You had like one character actually, it's revealed that they're transgender, and you have one character that doesn't, that uses gender neutral pronouns. So yeah, that's about like all of the outside of your average dating sim that you really get, except for the orgy, which we'll see. That I'm gonna make it happen.
Bingo at 7, orgy at 9.
Yep. That's exactly what's happening. Yep. We're doing bingo. We're gonna do bingo. We're gonna do shuffleboard, Metamucil, orgy.
And to help keep iron up, tonight's dinner is going to be liver and onions.
Yes, exactly.
Really?
Yeah, don't forget your Werther's Originals in your cookie tin full of sewing supplies for some reason.
Oh, that's the dessert after dessert.
The sewing supplies? Yeah.
No, the cookies.
Oh, the cookies? No, see, that's the thing though. You go to open the tin and you think it's cookies. Bam, sewing supplies for some reason. And buttons, probably just for buttons.
Nice. I think you've answered all the questions I would have had about this.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. It's not like one of those kind of games that has a lot of subtlety to it. Like a lot underlying this and that. No, it's like, dude, you're an old person trying to do it with other old people.
There's a dating sim for everyone.
Yeah, oh, yes, there is, and I found out. I'm not saying that this is for me, but like I'm not gonna say that like it's my kind of dating sim, but I will say as soon as I was done, I messaged the person that got me the key and asked when episode 2 was coming out. And all I got was a soon gif, and I'm like, oh god
damn it,
come on.
Eyepoke, do you have any questions, thoughts on this game, opinions?
Yeah, I'm curious. How much does it show, if anything?
As of yet, nothing. But man, I tell you what, if it gets to the point where you're doing it and it's like, you know, the old lady and they had to have 2 separate sensor bars for each side because she's on her back, best game ever. I'm going to go ahead and put that out there. If you get that where it's like, bam, you got the sensor bar on each side, like 3 inches away from their body. Or even better, you have that like one long sensor bar that goes like from waist all the way down to the kneecap because of the dangle, you know, the knee knockers.
Yeah,
that right there makes it the perfect game. Just saying.
We won't see Sven for fucking 3 months.
You ever see that episode of Family Guy where Quagmire found out about internet porn?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go get my mail.
Yeah.
Damn it. Green, thoughts, questions, opinions on this game?
Absolutely not.
He's waiting on episode 2.
I have no
jokes on you. He actually played episode 1 before I did.
He was just really waiting to not. He didn't want to be that guy.
I'm not alone.
There's gonna be one of these days where Danny's gonna see me talking about the game that I played, and he goes, "You know what? We're gonna wait till the end of the show to have you talk about this, so that way you don't chase everybody off."
Yeah. Yeah, this is for anyone this is like their first episode of the show. Definitely not always like this. We don't always have someone in the bathtub, and we don't talk about we don't talk about geriatric dating games often.
Speak for yourself.
It's an abnormal show.
This is the best day of my life. I just want you to know
that. Cool. Nothing else on later daters?
No, like I said, pretty straightforward game. Laughs, yet serious plot line. Bam.
Excellent. I figure we'll probably go into our next topic here, which is Half-Life and Half-Life mods. Eyepoke, you play quite a few Half-Life game mods, and I presume you've played Half-Life and Half-Life 2. Why don't you kind of go ahead and talk about it for a bit?
Sure. Well, Half-Life and Half-Life 2 were pretty straightforward games. The first one came out in 1999, so it's pretty old. So anyone who's not, up there in age, most of them aren't even interested in it because it's just so old. And I hear a lot of them complaining about, it's hard. That's because you got to figure things out yourself. The older the game gets, the harder it is. So, but and the second one's a little newer and a little more modern, and that one's a little more popular these days. But these games, for me personally, shaped gaming for me because it was the very first PC game I've ever played, and it was the very first multiplayer game I've ever played. So this really got me hooked into PC gaming and multiplayer and all this junk everyone does nowadays, and it just blew my mind back then.
Yeah,
that's actually a fair point. Because I was the same way. I played Half-Life on PC. It was the first thing I ever played on PC back when I was a kid, and it was Half-Life and Tribes. Those were right, yeah. And so I could actually attest to it being kind of like groundbreaking on the multiplayer, first-person shooter aspect of it.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. Me personally, why I still play it is for one, it's just very nostalgic to me. I liked that game so much that I just don't want to let it go, I guess. So I think that's one main reason I play it. And also it had a very, very large like modding community. So there are hundreds and hundreds of mods for it. So if you like the game in general and you want to play something kind of similar but different, there's any mod you can imagine, basically, for both 1 and 2.
Yeah, and just kind of being anything that's on the Source engine, it has that distinctive look in like how things move and how physics work and everything like that. I haven't played Half-Life 1 or Half-Life 2. Maybe at some point I'll get to them. But there's a lot of games that I've played that have been Half-Life mods or started life out as Half-Life mods. Fistful of Frags,
Yeah.
which was a cowboy shooter. And then, of course, one of my favorite games of all time. You guys ready to take a drink? Insurgency Modern Infantry Combat, which also is Insurgency and Insurgency Sandstorm, started its life out as a Half-Life mod. I think Insurgency Sandstorm is now on Unreal Engine, but the original Insurgency was started its life out as a Half-Life mod. The Stanley Parable was a Source Engine project as well. But in terms of the mods and such in Half-Life, what are some ones that people can find that you think are definitely like worth checking out? Oh, and then someone just mentioned Counter-Strike. Yeah, Counter-Strike started as a Half-Life mod, I think, and then it turned into Valve's premier first-person shooter, outpacing Team Fortress. But yeah, some mods. What are some mods that you suggest people check out if they pick up Half-Life?
That's a good question. Well, there's so many. Literally, there's a website called Run, Think, Shoot, Live, and it basically gives you every mod known to mankind and a little description of it. And it just depends on what you're looking for. But there's they made all the Left 4 Dead games, but there's also another game that I like was just community made. It's called Brain Bread, and there's actually I played a second one which is on the Source engine now, and it's kind of goofy and kind of a small game, but I just love that game. I don't know why. It's just kind of a lot like Left 4 Dead in a way, but it came out way before that was even a thing. So there's that, and there's I don't know. I just say play all of them. There's a lot of the multiplayer ones are dead nowadays, so there's a lot of multiplayer ones, but all the single player ones are good. I'm trying to buy time because I can't even think of any names of them at the moment.
Well, I mean, we can give Rev said he's played Half-Life and Half-Life 2. That was one of his first PC games. But how about you, Green? What's your experience with Half-Life or Half-Life mods in the past?
I've never played Half-Life.
Wow.
It's okay. How about some of the game? Did any of the games that I mentioned there? Portal. Good.
Left 4 Dead 2.
Mm-hmm.
Doom. I played Doom when I was a kid. I was the Doom and Duke Nukem.
Okay, so that's yeah, that's good.
That call that an honorable mention.
Honorable
there you
mention.
go.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I didn't get into like Half-Life or Counter-Strike. So like when I was introduced to PC games when I was forever old ago, that's what I mainly played Doom. So I have not had any experience with anything. I don't even know what is considered Half-Life mods, like
Oh, okay.
So like I know Counter-Strike and Left 4 Dead and stuff like that, but like everything else is I always think of them as their own IP.
Yeah. Well, those are games that are built on the Source engine, which is Valve's proprietary engine, a lot like the oh god, what is Bethesda called theirs? They have a I think it's called the Creator Engine that they use, and then of course Epic has Unreal and whatever else. There's a lot of, it's interesting. Half-Life is an interesting thing to me. To me, it's almost, it's kind of what, this is gonna sound really weird, but it's kind of what like the Bible is to literature. There's just so much that is built off of, you know, when you look at literature in like biblical metaphors and allegories and stuff like that, so much of literature throughout the ages is based on just biblical stuff, and so much of video gaming now is built based on what Half-Life did and what Half-Life and what people did with Half-Life. You know what I mean? It's not like a perfect description.
Comparison.
It's not a perfect comparison, but I think it kind of gets my point across, where there's just a lot of influence to such an extent that Half-Life is almost, it's mythical, it's almost biblical. So much.
Go ahead. Yeah, I totally agree. I worship Half-Life too, so it's okay.
You're in the Church of Freeman every day.
Yeah, for sure. A bunch of cuts on my arm from a crowbar.
Yeah. And
jokes on you. That's not a domo hat. It's a what are they? Head crabs?
Oh yeah, that's what they are. Yeah. No, I was looking at getting one of those, but then I would have to swap out the hat, and I don't know. For some reason, I just can't let this hat go. I don't know. I gotta wait till the Domo company comes knocking on my door. Hey, take the hat off. I don't know.
You know, I just had another thought about a comparison between Half-Life and the Bible. Is that people are constantly waiting for a sequel.
Yes.
The third coming.
It's coming.
It's coming. Is it coming today? No, but it will come tomorrow.
No one knows the hour or the day.
No one knows the hour or the day that Half-Life 3 will be announced.
Now I want to do that now, like with a whole video, just take the whole thing and like describe all of the prophecies about the second coming, but then be like Half-Life 3 at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I might have to go back and actually play Half-Life and Half-Life 2. Of course, maybe then I'll be turned into one of those people just constantly, you know, Half-Life 3, but maybe with the years, with the, what is it, almost 2 decades now.
What'll happen is he'll try Half-Life out one time, and next week's podcast he's going to be in a bathtub, and I'm like, that's what did this?
That's what does it.
Oh man.
If there is a mod anyone should play, if someone's never played the original Half-Life, I recommend, and they don't want to play a game that's from 1999, you know, so it's kind of, some of its magic has been lost throughout the years because it's so old. But if you want to kind of try to get the experience, probably the best mod for that is called Black Mesa.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one you should definitely play, because it's basically just a flat out remake of the original on the Source engine, and that's the one I recommend.
Which I remember that coming out a while ago, and hearing about it and understanding like a little bit about it. Oh, I didn't. So just quick, because I'm looking at a website, I didn't realize that Dear Esther started out as a Half-Life mod, or as a Source mod. I think Age of Chivalry, is this the game I'm thinking of? And then Age of Chivalry, which I think turned into Chivalry, also became was also a mod. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting down a rabbit hole. It's very easy to get down that rabbit hole.
You'll be stuck forever.
But
Fun fact, Black Mesa is the name of the highest point in the state of Oklahoma, and I've been there.
Nice.
Unrelated note.
Cool. Well, do we want to move on to our next topic here, and then we can take a short break?
Yas Queen.
Cool. So we have some news here. And there's just been a lot of speculation lately about the PlayStation 5, its price, and its availability. There's been a lot of concern from the media, and Sony just kind of keeps waffling. They haven't made any announcements. It sounds like they're struggling internally to make those decisions. But we did get some reports from Bloomberg and Polygon that that might be changing here soon. So a big thing is how many units they think they might be able to produce or and still remain profitable. And it sounds like Sony is planning on making 5 to 6 million units, which falls very short of the 7.5 million units that was produced for the PS4 at launch. And apparently this isn't all due to COVID-19. However, I'm sure we could probably play like a 6 degrees of COVID-19 and, you know, find somewhere along the line that it is affecting the production. But apparently the biggest reason is that the components are pricier than previously thought. And there's an estimated price tag right now of somewhere between $499 and $549 American, for anyone who might be Canadian or across seas. They're also really struggling to make an announcement for a variety of reasons, and one of the other big reasons is they don't want to push back their release date or move their release date until Microsoft does, which makes sense, but we'll probably see the two be playing chicken until holidays this year, so just kind of keep an eye out on that. Which that price tag, what do you guys think of that price tag? The PS3 launched at a similar price. So I'm not really sure if that's going to be, I mean, it's obviously going to be a factor, but is it still, do you guys think that's going to be a huge factor in the success of the PS5? We'll go with you, Green.
I don't think it's going to be a huge factor unless Microsoft like completely undersells them. Because like anything new, like, is gonna sell, regardless of the price. It just depends on who's like, what people are gonna decide to buy. Like, am I gonna buy another Xbox or am I gonna switch to the PlayStation because it is, you know, $50 cheaper? That's the biggest thing.
A lot of brand loyalty.
Well, I've seen some people switch brands on the drop of a hat. So,
oh, that's right. I did that. I used to be a PlayStation guy, and then I got smarter.
Oh.
Right. Okay. At least we're brothers in arms now in the PC world.
Right. Like, we're making up fake arguments now. We're both on PC. What is this?
I still hate you. I love you, but I hate you.
I was on Letterkenny. I still hate you. I still hate you more. But I hate you, but I hate him more.
Give him a tender, embracing hug, and then stab him in the back.
Say my only rule here is, ladies, there's just no hair pulling.
Hey,
not that Rev has much to pull except his beard, anyways.
Oh, you can pull my beard. Pull it. Hot.
Oh, golly gee, I just had a thought, but I lost it. Oh, did we ever talk about the PS5 controller?
I don't think so.
I don't think we did. I don't think we talked about the PS5 controller being shown off. Did you guys see that?
I didn't really care for it.
The only thing I've seen of it is they were photoshopping it into saber-toothed tiger mouths, make it look like its teeth. And that's all I've seen.
That's all you need to see. That's it. There it is. I bet that, like, it always seems like they try to come up with like revolutionary controllers. It does look like a Mad Catz controller.
Yes, someone just said that in chat, and I was just like, huh.
That hits the nail on the head right there. It looks like a Mad Catz controller, but we haven't seen the Xbox Series X controllers yet, have we?
No.
But
it's more than likely gonna look. It's gonna look pretty close to the Xbox One.
Yeah, because they're kind of sticking with like a very, very same look as these last couple of generations have been going on. So they'll probably do the same thing, especially when you consider the fact that heck, the console itself doesn't even look that much different. It's just more square. It stands up.
It's more obelisk shaped.
Yeah.
They want you to worship.
It's
the
like
feet
an
of the almighty
H1.
Microsoft.
Yeah, it's like they what's it? NZXT just came out with the H1 case that looks identical to the Xbox
Yeah.
S. Exactly, like identical.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Which I like that form factor. If I ever get to building a new PC in the next couple of years, I'll probably get a fairly similar looking case myself. Yeah, I'm kind of looking at this, and I think this is the furthest away that the PlayStation has ever gotten from the original DualShock design. It's a little bit more rounded around the sides. So like around the sides, like where your palms would meet, the controller, it almost looks a little bit more Xbox like right there. It's very interesting, and I know there's supposed to be some haptic stuff in the triggers and the shoulder bumpers too. Sorry,
yeah, because usually they go a little more like their controllers look a little more handgunny, like the way it comes down, and like because when the controller comes out, it kind of comes down a little bit. It almost feels like you're holding a bit of a handgun. In Xbox didn't, because you're right, it's like more rounded, so it is kind of crazy to see. Maybe that's why I've been seeing like these rip-off memes coming out, like the don't copy my homework memes, or copy, you can copy my homework, just don't make it too obvious memes come out about it. So that I didn't think about that, but that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise I think it looks cool. Do we know, I only see it being blue, like that underlighting, that like lighting strip that's kind of like by the touch. Is that a touch screen or touch haptic response thing?
It'll probably change colors.
Yeah, I would assume it changes colors like the PS4 controller does on the
It'll
light
probably
in front.
turn red. Yeah.
I wonder if they'll include a speaker on it like they did on the original, because that, if there's one thing I can say about PS4, like their controller having the speaker in it.
Yeah.
There's this one game called iZombie where it actually had Kit Harington in it, the guy that played Jon Snow. But you play this multitude of characters. Every time you die, you come back as a different character, but the world outside stays the same, so you can go back and re-grab your stuff. And whenever he's communicating with you over comms, you don't hear it on the TV. You actually hear it come from the controller as if it's coming from your own handheld device. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, when you look at it, there are those. There's like a speaker grill there. I also heard that it's supposed to have a built-in mic.
Well, there's a lot of games that utilize the PlayStation 4 speaker too, like Grand Theft Auto 5. Whenever you got a phone call, you could have it to where it's coming from the controller. And then Infamous Second Son, which is, if you guys haven't played that game, fucking fantastic. I love that game. Any of the Infamous games, fucking mint. Where you can actually use the controller as like a spray can. So you spray like with the controller, and like you rattle it, and it makes the rattling sound on the controller.
What?
So I'm sure they're gonna implement that. Yeah, they're probably gonna implement that on the PS5.
If you shake an Xbox controller and it's rattling, it's because your trigger's broken and you have to buy a new one. Trust me.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
Shots have been fired.
I'll take that one. I'll take that shot.
Was there anything else that we wanted to talk? I'm sorry I got us off on that. I just remembered I don't think we'd ever talked about the PS5 controller being revealed. I don't think we've seen anything other than like some leaks on what the PS5 is supposed to look like. It's got kind of I know the leaks have kind of been like V-shaped fins on the top. Dyson. Yeah, it looks like a Dyson fan.
I will say only one other thing about all of this, and that's the controller looks like something that Dr. Robotnik invented in Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie. If you go and look, his little dropship, little robot drone things, same color scheme, same sleekness, everything. Somebody actually photoshopped a picture of him standing there, and instead of all those little robot drones, it was just a bunch of PS5 controllers behind him. It was actually pretty brilliant.
You know, I don't hate that they redesigned the controller. Like, I'm not a huge fan of it, but at least give them props for making it a little bit different. Versus like the PS3 to PS4 controller was the same thing, just with the little touchpad on it. I give them props.
Yeah, I like
see,
it personally.
Yeah, it's I don't really know how I always care about how they feel more than how they look, but I don't know that one just doesn't look like it would feel comfortable. No.
I like firm things in my hand.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
Which
Hot.
for controllers, which did you prefer? Did you prefer like the Xbox One controller in terms of feel, or did you prefer the DualShocks?
That's I preferred the Xbox controllers, but the PlayStation 4 controllers feel pretty good compared to the 2 and the 3. But I would say PS4 is what I like the feel of most.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a PS4 controller guy. The Xbox, I don't like the offset of the left thumb button versus the other one, and I kind of felt like I was like stretching my thumb out, and it was just not as comfortable as the PlayStation controller for me.
See, I'm quite the opposite. I enjoy and it may just be because I grew used to it after a while, but I actually enjoy the left thumbstick being up there closer to the triggers.
Yeah, you can also enjoy your crippling arthritis.
Bro, we're all playing PC games. We're all gonna get crippling arthritis tapping the mouse buttons as fast as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Or God forbid those people that play Dead by Daylight and just have to tap the space bar 1.5 million times to struggle.
Yeah, or the
that one finger is gonna be like
yeah, the pinky for crouching, yeah.
The poor people who play Siege and have to constantly hold down Q or E while also maintaining their W and their A and D at the same time.
One letter in the alphabet that counts, and that's the W.
That was the best viral video was how Rainbow Siege players are in real life.
Yeah, they did good with that, huh?
It's flopping everywhere.
Cool. Anything else that we need to talk about when it comes to the PS5 and price availability and our tangent onto the controller?
Nah, that's all for me. I've got all my meme-ish stuff out the way. I always have to fall back and correct myself because I always want to describe something that has a meme quality to it as memey, but I don't want people to think I'm one of those idiots that pronounce it wrong. So I have to backpedal and call it meme-ish.
He's got to defend himself. Cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this one off at the head.
Meme adjacent.
Meme adjacent.
Meme adjacent. Okay, cool. If you guys don't mind, we'll go on ahead. We'll take a quick break. 2 minutes, and we'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
I keep going to the wrong scene for some reason.
The big oof.
The big oof, yes. All right, so our next topic today. Have you guys been aware that there's been a Nintendo Switch shortage?
I have. Yeah. It's all over the Twitterverse.
Yeah, it's all over the Twitterverse. I wasn't aware of it until just really this last week. So yeah, there's a Nintendo Switch shortage. A lot of demand right now due to people being stuck at home. Apparently, Animal Crossing New Horizons is one hell of a system seller too. And really everyone online and brick and mortar retailers are struggling to keep units on the shelves, especially as production of the console has slowed down as well. Further exacerbating the issue is these resellers that are using bots to automatically buy stores and retailers out of stock. And then they're reselling them at a significant markup on eBay and Amazon. And a lot of this has been documented by Vice's Motherboard. Yeah, did you guys read that Motherboard article at all? I know I didn't share it specifically in our group chat, but
I didn't see anything about a motherboard issue. See, I was just under the impression that it was literally just people buying them up and then turning around and selling them. I didn't know there was a motherboard thing.
Motherboard is a publication. Vice,
okay,
it's Vice's tech and gaming section. It's Motherboard.
I like Vice. I'll have to check that out.
But yeah, did you guys read some of the story, just kind of some of the stuff, or even see some of the stuff that came out of this this expose?
I did not. I would like you to inform me because the story really interests me, like more so than most.
Yeah. So basically what's happening is that this guy named Nate, that's his official name in the Motherboard story is Nate. Apparently he just made a reseller, or he made a like an automatic buying bot as a joke. He said it was a joke. It's called the Bird Bot, and what this does is it just kind of like skims websites, and then it automatically goes and places orders for you in mass bulk, and it can do it as faster than anyone can. Anyone who's tried to like buy ticket sales has probably ran up against one of these things, because they're there as soon as like tickets go on sale. Bots from like StubHub and name another website, Ticketmaster, are right there to buy these things up. So yeah, these guys, all these people, all these resellers are going to sites like to other buyers on Amazon. They're going to the brick and mortar stores. They're going to their websites for Best Buy and Target and whoever else, and just buying these things up automatically as they come up, and then they're reselling them for like I said, significant markups. I actually did the math. So a regular Switch unit costs right about $300 USD, and they're selling it for $500, which I believe, if my math is correct, a 166% markup.
That's insanity.
Yeah, go ahead, Green.
I'm math checking.
Oh, math checking. Gotcha. And in one case, someone was able to successfully sell the New Horizons Switch bundle for $750. So the prices are
criminal. Criminal.
Yeah, the reselling, the prices are insane, and they're just reselling them on eBay and Amazon. They set up their own Amazon stores, and they just resell from there. Switches aren't the only products that are getting hit, though. According to Motherboard, Oculus devices and webcams are also popular targets right now. Which the webcams, we've talked about this I think before, or I know we've mentioned it prior. Webcams are very hard to get right now because everyone started needing them for video conferencing, due to social distancing and having to work from home. Did you get a math check on me?
Yeah, it's you know 166 repeating.
Okay.
So
I can math.
he can math.
I can
This is
math.
true.
You did it,
It's
Danny.
true.
You did it.
Of course, with these kind of situations, websites do try to combat these bots, but it's really tricky. The developers of the bots are more agile than the sellers, and then it's just a kind of a you win some and you lose some kind of situation with them. I unfortunately, and I didn't really see much. I really didn't see any tips on how to deal with something like this. It's kind of a widespread issue. My only words of advice is know how much the MSRP is for the product and look for the best alternatives you can. Don't try to go through your first party or your trusted retailers first before you start looking at resellers.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I have some advice.
Okay, go ahead.
Try to find a local electronics store and buy local, especially during these times. If they're as long as they're still open, like my local area, there's an electronics store doing curbside pickup.
That's cool.
So
Support your local economies.
yeah,
Do it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. How about you, Rev? Do you have any ideas, tips that you can like give people?
Well, no, I did notice recently that a lot of like Walmarts and stuff are actually just restocking right now. So people who are willing to get out can still get them from Walmart and pick them up. Like the shortage lasted for a couple weeks. I think there still is like technically a shortage, like per se, or whatever. But as of right now, like a lot of stores are getting them restocked. And I think the reason a lot of them ran out, it isn't really being talked about, is a lot of like other retailers ran out was because places like GameStop did close. And since they closed, everybody was having to get them all from like one central location and online, of course. But I think the situation's starting to resolve itself. But yeah, just don't put yourself in a financial bind just because people want to take advantage of your boredom.
Yeah,
If you're gonna spend that kind of money, buy PC parts.
yeah. Eyepoke. What are some ideas that you have people can try to beat these bots or find alternatives here?
Sure. I would think the main thing is probably, yeah, either check in the morning at like Walmart and the places that are open because they are restocking things. But also if you can, just try to wait it out because things will kind of balance out. You can either try to wait it out, but if you're really not bored, maybe even try to buy used and just kind of pay attention to the price. And it might be used and kind of cheaper, but hopefully it won't be broken or anything. You just got to pay attention to what you're doing. But that's I don't know. There's not much you can do. It's kind of crazy.
Like instead of buying them on eBay or something, buy them from like your Facebook Marketplace from people who live around you.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
That,
so you
that
can
way,
go.
that way, if they try to charge you too much, you could just meet them in a shady parking lot and take it from them. Of course. Disclaimer: probably don't.
Yeah, as I say here, let me play lawyer here. We don't encourage you to rob your neighbors. That was a joke.
Hashtag joking, not joking.
Also, more lawyery bits. If you are in a location such as Iowa that says no gatherings outside of immediate family, maybe don't meet people out and about. Please follow your local laws and policies in relation to COVID-19 spread and prevention. What do you guys think? What are some good alternatives to the Switch in terms of gaming? Some, like I said before, the Animal Crossing New Horizons has just apparently been a unit seller. Do you guys have any games that are kind of along those lines that you would suggest people check out? Or any of the other really popular, Pokemon Sword and Shield is obviously a big one. Mario Kart. some of those other games that are exclusive to Switch. If people are really wanting games like that, what are some suggestions for them to check out? Green.
If you have an Android cell phone, download John Boy Light or other emulators and play the only Pokemon that matter. And that's the 151. Red, blue, yellow.
You are
Here we
really
go.
try my patience.
You're welcome.
Here we
You're
go.
welcome. You are welcome.
Rev, how about you? What are some suggestions? Suggestions.
I mean, if you're looking for, we're talking about stuff outside the Switch, but has Switch game like qualities.
Yeah.
Tim is still a thing. It kind of isn't being talked about much, but it's still a thing. You could play what's it called? You like for your games, kind of like Animal Crossing. You could play just for the time being. What's
Stardew?
it called? Stardew Valley, or something along those lines. That's about really all I could think of. That's kind of like got those same kind of qualities. Like if you're a Smash Brothers fan, and you were thinking about getting a Switch so you can get the new Smash Bros. Play some Brawlhalla to get you through this. It'll give you your fix. You know, it's enough to get you through these times until they start selling Switches at normal prices again. Those like games like that would be my suggestion. And I mean, the thing with Brawlhalla is it's on anything and it's free.
Mm-hmm.
But Mario Kart, I don't really know anything that's kind of like in that realm. But you could always just get Minecraft Secure All.
It kind of is. Eyepoke. What do you have any suggestions for any of like the big Nintendo unit sellers that some kind of alternatives that might be on other consoles for people to check out?
Well, I don't really play too much of Nintendo type stuff, but maybe you could go get a 3DS. I've never had one of those, so I think that'd be kind of cool. The last time I looked, they were fully stocked.
Yeah, and you can get 3DSs and the 2DS for really, really cheap now because support for them has, they've ended support and development for them, but there are still plenty of games out there for those systems that are absolutely great. I do suggest, and I'm actually kind of looking right now because I have these two games on iOS. I'm trying to figure out a way that I can stream them from my phone. Otherwise, I might just have to find an emulator of it. But on your phone, if you're looking for like an JRPG, some JRPG action, the Final Fantasy 3 remake and the Final Fantasy 4 remake are both on iOS. For like $15. I've had them for years. I beat both of those games on Nintendo DS. But they're on Android. Those two, they've ported those to Android and iOS a long time ago. Definitely worth checking out. Anything else on this Nintendo Switch shortage that we wanted to talk about? Any other tips or suggestions that we wanted to give for folks?
One last thing. There's actually a full-on instruction guide on Reddit. You can get. They'll tell you exactly where to find all of the parts and how to put them together, and you could just build your own. If you just like go to Reddit and search Nintendo Switch, it's one of the most like active posts about Nintendo Switches in the recent weeks. It's actually really impressive.
Oh, sick.
I heard Radio Shack has a bunch of Nintendo Switches in.
What?
Get out of here.
Shut
Go
up.
home.
I am home.
I actually have I talked about this on the podcast before, the short time that I worked for Radio Shack?
No, but
I don't think you have.
I want to hear this so I can tell you about the short time I worked at Radio Shack.
So I know I've talked about this before. I had just come home from a summer job in Tennessee. I just got back to Iowa, getting ready to go back to classes and stuff like that. And so I was looking for for a new job because I wasn't happy with the job that I had prior to going to Tennessee. So I applied for Radio Shack. I did I filled out their application, did their little IQ quiz, And I got a call back, and they're like, hey, we liked your application. Do you mind doing a call with our district manager? I'm like, okay, cool. Talk to the district manager. And he's like, okay. How about we have you, I'll call you here in a day or two, and we'll get things sorted out for the paperwork. They call me for the paper. They call me to do the paperwork, background check and whatever else. And they say, hey, can you come in, at such and such day at such and such time with all your information? And I said, yeah, okay, cool. And I hung up. Immediately after I hung up, I was sitting in the living room eating dinner, watching the news. And on the NBC nightly news, they're like, many of us are familiar with Radio Shack, but this retail giant might be dying. The company it's speculated the company will be filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the next coming weeks. And then the next day, the headline for the New York Times business section was the exact same thing. I go and sign off on my paperwork or whatever else, like the following day, and like start in like 5 days after that. And the day that I was supposed to start, the manager that hired me apparently took a call in the back, came back out, handed his keys to the other person that was working, and said, tell the district manager I quit.
Nice.
And it all just started crumbling down from there. How about your experience? I want to hear about yours.
So mine was a little bit before the closing, but I was 17. No, I was 18. And I got hired on, and at the time they had a really horrible training setup. They gave you this huge thick paper booklet with a bunch of questions and stuff like that on it. But the dumb part was, while you're going through this paper, you have to do some stuff on the computer. Now, apparently, I went through all this crap and never did any of the tests on the computer because I thought I was supposed to do them on the paper. So I spent an entire day wasted on that. And the guy asked me if I was stupid. So I walked out and went to work at McDonald's instead. Because McDonald's like right across the street. So I worked at Radio Shack for a whole day doing training, didn't complete a single bit of it, and quit.
Yeah, the training was
like,
really... Oh,
the training was shit.
When they finally closed down the store that I worked at, apparently, no one bothered to check the mailbox for the building, and they had an $80 check for me that they never gave me. That they finally sent through the State Department of Labor, because it was like it was undelivered monies, and they were like, yeah,
I fight them.
Well, they got me the money, so I'm like, okay, cool. It was $80 for my training. Yeah.
That was me. Yeah, I got one check for my training. That's all it was.
Well, I got a couple. I worked there for like 2 months, but anyways, we are very off base here. Oh, go ahead.
One thing though, there is technically a Radio Shack where in my hometown, it is a office town, and it's a Radio Shack retailer or authorized retailer, which is ironic. I just don't think they took the sign off the wall. I think they're just like, fuck it. Just leave it up there.
Yeah.
So technically there is some patina of Radio Shack in my hometown.
Yeah. So our next story here, we talked about last week, the ESRB new rating label. Now it's kind of some new developments in terms of just categorizing and tracking some stuff from the consumer side. The popular PC gaming website PCGamingWiki is adding a new section to track microtransactions. So a quick statement from the founder of the website, Andrew Tsai, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, Tsai, Tsai, I believe, said this, quote, many PC gamers don't have a clue what they're getting into before they install the latest free-to-play game. These games could contain manipulative loot boxes, hopelessly unfair grinds, or game imbalancing pay-to-win unlocks. I see someone messing with my notes right now, and it will not mess with me. So kind of on the face there, that quote, what do you guys think? How are you guys feeling about this?
it's fair. Like half the time when you download a free to play game, you don't know for sure if there's going to be like a boatload of loot boxes or cosmetics that you had to pay for. I mean, it's a given because it's a free to play game, but you don't know how much.
Right. Right. I'm kind of in the same boat as Green on that one, honestly. I will say, like, since we're just on the topic of microtransactions, I was really impressed when I saw the Gears of War Tactics game coming out and how they're like proudly showing that they are not going to have microtransactions of any kind in it. Don't know why they just decided to flex that muscle, but it was just kind of cool to see. Like after we had been talking about it so much that a game is coming out and is just outright saying in their advertisement, like in the commercial, they're like, no microtransactions of any kind. I'm like, well, I kind of want to check it out now, honestly. I mean, just because how much we talked about how much we hate microtransactions, that in and of itself has got me going.
Yeah, it's sad that that's a selling point by itself. Eyepoke, what do you think? How do you feel about that statement?
Yeah, I could see that because games like this is just a random example of me seeing it a lot. Is my son likes to play Roblox a lot, and you can buy in-game currency on that. So you spend $5 and get them whatever they're called, Robux. I don't know if you guys ever played Roblox or not, but and 1 second later you'll have none left, and you're like, what did you do with it? And like you could buy like cosmetics and things like that, but there's a lot of games where all you got to do is walk in a certain area and it pops up, and all he has to do is hit the wrong button and it buys like nothing practically, and it just wastes money. So that's kind of what it reminds me of. It's like us as adults, we kind of can notice when that's happening, but especially when they're doing it for like kids, it's kind of weird. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
To me, Roblox is like the most predatory microtransaction filled game I've ever seen because it's targeted for kids and is just, I mean, absolutely filled
Hold on.
with microtransaction stuff.
Are you trying to say Roblox should be on a list?
Yeah, 100% should be on. It should be blacklisted.
All right, just checking.
Yeah. So I do have a little bit of an issue with the quote here, and it's not with the idea. It's not. I'm going to state this right now. I 100% love this. A wiki page where users just go on ahead and update things and whatever else, and categorize and track and document all of the loot boxes and microtransactions in games. I fucking love that. My issue is, he says, many PC gamers don't have a clue what they're getting into. I think a lot of gamers of a certain age do. I think what this needs to be pointed at is parents of young kids who need to be educated and informed of what these terms are. Like we talked about this last week, right? Where parents don't know, what did the ESA say? 1/3 of parents understood what loot boxes were. This needs to be something aimed at parents of kids who have kids who want to play Roblox or have kids who want to play Fortnite, whatever else. I don't think this needs to be aimed. Obviously, gamers should be looking at this anyways, but I don't think your quote unquote gamers are the ones who are uninformed. No. They have the Steam forums. They have content creators like Jim Sterling, Big Fry, podcasts like ourselves and Budget Arcade, our friends over there at Budget Arcade, who talk about this all the time. I don't think gamers. So that's my only thing. It's a bit of a nitpick, but I think it's still important enough to mention. Really focus this on parents. Focus this on parents who need to be educated and informed about how these microtransactions work and how predatory they are, and stuff. I just don't like the idea that gamers are uninformed in his statement there. That's just,
I got it,
a nitpick.
Yeah, you don't like the quote because it's fighting words.
It is, dude. I'm over here getting ready. I'm like, you said Andrew Tsai is the one that did this.
You want to go? You want to go fight Andrew Tsai?
Go fuck yourself, San Diego. You know, like just because we don't use them big fancy college terms and them big learning words, and doesn't mean we don't know what we're getting into. Shut your mouth. Insult us.
Some of the other things, so some of the specifics, they're seeking to track gambling on loot boxes, cosmetics, unlocks, boosts, in-game currency, infinite cap transactions, and pay to skip mechanics. It's also going to track ad-supported games, free-to-play, and subscription games as well. Like I said, overall, I absolutely love this idea. 100% go for it. If you guys are interested in working on this yourselves, of course, it's it's a wiki, so it's user generated content, and especially in a time right now where the ESA are being intentionally vague. At least in my opinion, they're being intentionally vague with their categorizations and ratings and labels. I think this is a very powerful tool for educating people who need educating and informed in how these microtransactions work. What are some other thoughts, questions, opinions, feelings?
I think I said everything I needed to say about Andrew Tsai and this whole thing, but I will say no. I think it's a good idea that at least somebody's trying to get some solid information out there for people.
Mm-hmm. Eyepoke, anything that you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, no, I agree with you that it should definitely be aimed towards parents, because that even happened to me with my son. Like, like I didn't think that, whatever, he would just run out, and you're like, well, what do you run out of? And then you find that there's just things where you could pay a certain amount to skip one section, and you're like, well, what? So yeah, just it's good. They should but they should definitely gear it towards parents and things like that for sure. But
yeah, well, we mentioned last week, my mom's not a gamer, but she's not tech illiterate. Same with my stepdad. And when I sent her I asked her, like, hey, what does this mean to you? I sent her the text of the new label, and she goes, I don't know, like, it just sounds like they're trying to sneak content in. And I'm like, no, that's a purchase warning that you can make additional purchases in it. She was like, what, really? Wow. So yeah, I think definitely aim it at parents, and everything will be hunky-dory in my opinion. Do you want to go on to our last story of the night?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
I've got some fighting words for this one.
You had some fighting words for this one. Okay. So another GeForce Now update. So later this week, so we are recording this, or we're doing this live on April 21st of 2020. So this Friday, April 24th of 2020, they'll be GeForce Now will be losing games from publishers include Warner Bros. Interactive, Xbox Game Studios, Codemasters, and Clay Entertainment. Unfortunately, we'll be losing those on GeForce Now. It's not all bad news, though. They did announce some games and partnerships that will include Bungie, Epic, Ubisoft, and Bandai Namco. And then another kind of little update is services will start, like Steam and Uplay will start tagging games that will be available on GeForce Now. So it'll kind of be like where the Windows and Linux and Mac OS stuff will be the tags there. It'll be kind of there, I believe. What are your fighting words on the screen? I'm curious.
I still do not understand why these developers are taking away these games from GeForce Now, when GeForce Now is literally a PC rental program. Like, you don't rent a car and then the tire company be like, hey, we didn't allow you to have these tires on this rental car. That's not fair. We want money. so you better take those tires off. Like, it just pisses me off. You're renting equipment essentially, and the people have already paid for this. They've already paid for their license to play that game. Either Steam, Epic, whatever. Stop pulling your shit. Stop being a dick.
Yeah, because I mean, dude, when you think about it, in the end, it's a huge selling tool for people. Because like we had discussed when we first brought up the GeForce Now thing, is that it's mostly geared towards like teenagers that have their first job that can they can't afford to go out and buy or build a PC rig, but they can afford the however many dollars a month. Which there's the free one, but even on
Yeah.
on top of that, if you want to go more, you can pay the $5 a month. $5. They can afford that to play on their crappy laptop. And I can confirm it runs really well on a crappy laptop. I played Dauntless at max settings on it. Dauntless isn't necessarily the best, example of a high usage game, but for me to be able to play it flawlessly on that laptop, that says something. And so for somebody like, that just has that laptop that can't run these high performance games, they're more likely to buy them if they know that they can play them on that laptop. It's a selling point. Like just because you're not getting a big enough piece of the $5 a month pie from the premium members, you're going to pull your game support. Like I think you're costing yourself more money than you would be by just going with what you had available through their service already. I just find it weird. I'm with Green on this. It's just a weird concept that they're pulling their games from this.
Yeah. It's one of those things to me. It's, you can play so many of your, on Steam, right? Like on Steam, you can access, I have a Mac laptop that I use for various different things. It's kind of also my to-go, it's my to-go device. And I can still like install all my games that I've already bought in my Steam library here. So to not be able to access them remotely is ridiculous. Eyepoke, what do you think?
Well, I don't have any comments on that specifically, but I don't know. Gaming in general, that it's gotten crazy. That's all I got to say. It's gotten crazy, and it's crazy how much they seem to not care about their consumers at all for some reason.
I can agree with that. I mean, it seems like every time we turn around, there's something happening where some company is pulling some weird move to try to undercut somebody else for some ridiculous reason. Like it's becoming a more recurring thing, or maybe it's just that we're seeing it more now in today's age of transparency. I don't know, but even then, we're still not getting explanations on why they're pulling their support for GeForce Now. Like we're getting that they're pulling them, but nobody's telling us why.
Yeah, like what's the purpose of that? Yeah.
Well,
I blame EA. I blame EA for everything. It's EA. It's EA and John Jones's fault.
so a lot of it, is Xbox Game Studios. That makes sense. Now, whether or not they should have a say if they sold a game key or a game license through Steam, whether or not they have a say on if you can access that key on any device, I don't think they do. I think if you own that key and you can access that game through Steam, through a legal matter, you should always have access to it. But the reason being that they are, of course, working on their own cloud gaming thing. Going back to one of the last times we talked about it, and I don't remember the devs who said this, who were talking about, well, we have the right to distribute our game however we see fit. And to me, and we said this before, it's such a bullshit answer. It's such a bullshit excuse because it's not being redistributed. It's being accessed through a different machine. And I'd actually, I would question, would that dev want me to have to buy? Of course, they'd want me to have to buy, but do I need to buy? If the game is available on Mac, do I have to buy it on both PC and Mac to be able to play it on my laptop? Unlike every other game on Steam that has Mac support and PC support. However few there are, because gaming on a Mac is shit. but still, it's the same thing to me. Being able to access a Steam game on GeForce Now is the same as being able to access it on a Mac and a PC. It's just
Danny, you pay for elegance, not performance.
you it's kind of like joining the Church of Scientology as opposed to being like in Heaven's Gate.
So now hearing your explanation, like, them saying that, well, it's our game, so we can put it on. That's literally the same argument that a kid would use of, well, why do you get to be first player? Because it's my house. Back in the day of the Super Mario Brothers, like, why do you get to be player one? Well, because it's my house. It's like literally that, like, asinine of an argument.
Yeah, it's a real asinine argument, but
I just wanted an excuse to use the word asinine.
You know what though? We can go on that for forever and ever, but some good news. Like I said, they have some official partnerships now. They are coming closer and closer to an official commercial release, which is good. Good on Bungie, Epic, Ubisoft, and Bandai Namco for forging some real partnerships. I'm interested to see what those partnerships are going to be, other than just free reign to access games on GeForce Now. I like the fact that they're adding tags to marketplaces. That's great. It's a good selling point for games that do want to be known for being on GeForce Now. Whoever that dev is who pulled their game earlier, the indie dev, they can go fuck themselves. If I find a GeForce Now tag on there.
Is it like Blackheart or something like that?
I don't even know.
I can't remember. No one played it.
Boycott.
Or Black Christmas?
No.
I was gonna say, wasn't that like Black Christmas? Wasn't that like 6 shitty movies?
I don't remember.
All Tyler Perry movies, right?
And they made like an official statement on like Twitter or something saying that they didn't approve for the game to be on there, and it's like, who the fuck are you? Like,
I recognize the name. I never cared about them until that moment, and I only care enough to say fuck you for your asinine argument. But yeah, no, that's all. I just hit the bottom of my notes. Is there anything else that we want to talk about?
No. Fuck Andrew Tsai and whoever that indie
Don't
dev
actually
was.
no. Someone's gonna clip that and send it to him. No, I just had a problem with one phrase of your statement.
My opinions are my own. Come after me, bro. You leave that beautiful, gorgeous man alone. You leave all of them. Wait, that way. Leave all of them alone. You come for me.
Yeah. I just had, like I said, an issue with that one story. Just like, gamers are the least of the worries. It's parents of gamers that need to be informed. Okay, so if that's all we have to talk about this show, we can start wrapping things up. Eyepoke. So for anyone who might have joined halfway through or missed any part of the show, explain to the kind folks where who you are, where people can find you, and what's coming up on your channel.
All right, so my name is Eyepoke42. I am a casual gaming streamer turned YouTuber, and I play mostly Valve-related games in a very casual, not skilled at all type of way. And if you want to see my latest stuff, it'll be on youtube.com/C/Eyepoke42. And I've been doing a lot of Team Fortress type videos, and so I'll definitely be doing more of that because I've been having fun with it. And I'm also going to be exploring a lot of interesting, goofy mods in the future. That's my plan. Is where I'm going with that. So.
Excellent. And the other social media places that people can follow you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Twitter, Eyepoke42 on Twitter. I'm pretty active on there. And also Instagram, Eyepoke42. Is the two most ones I'm active on.
Excellent. Green Elite, what's coming up on your channel?
Okay, so tomorrow we're going to be playing some World of Warships for the first time ever. Yeah. And then Saturday, I'm going to die.
Is that Saturday?
It's Saturday.
Oh,
It's official.
yes.
I am playing the locked up demo. I'm going to die of a heart attack or an aneurysm because I don't do jump scares.
So
And yeah,
excited.
so it's gonna be a good time. Yeah, you can catch me on my Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, all the Mr. Green Elite except for Instagram, which is TTV Mr. Green Elite, and we're not going to discuss why. So
where are we having your service for after you have a heart attack? Because I'm ready for this.
Sacred Heart.
All right, I'll be there.
Which, Rev, this is going to be stimulus money well spent.
Oh, 100. Yeah,
So,
yeah, 100%.
For those who don't know, both Rev and I told Green Elite we would both pay him $40 just to play the demo for Locked Up.
How long is that
stream.
demo?
I think I did it in maybe 45 minutes. I don't think it's much longer than that.
Suck it up. You've got this, Green.
Yeah, this is all going towards the Go XLR mixer. That's literally all I'm doing it for.
It's super ironic that your microphone crackled when you said Go XLR.
Yeah, Go XLR, baby. I'm running on a shitty like $60 what's it? Behringer mixer that's only like 2 channels and a USB interface with it, like built in, and it's not very good. So it's time to upgrade.
Yeah. Padre, what's coming up on your channel?
Man, I am after this podcast, I am taking a week off, and I will not be back on Twitch until next week when we do this podcast. So for me, nothing. But you can catch my antics on Twitter, Instagram, whatnot at RevSven TV. We're going to be doing like movie nights and stuff in my Discord. So we'll we come to find out there's a great movie called The Velocipaster. And then found out there's a whole slew of these amazing cinematic masterpieces known as B-rated movies. So we're probably gonna watch a bunch of those. But on my actual Twitch channel, I'm taking the week off, man.
Excellent.
Have you seen Rubber?
Yes. Oh, Rubber's classic.
I hate that movie.
Get out.
I hate it so much.
Go home. Go home.
When it comes to like B horror, I haven't watched that many of them, but I absolutely love the covers. The covers of those films are always the fucking best.
Back in the day, though, let's go ahead and address this. Back in the day at Blockbuster, you knew how shitty a horror movie was going to be because the cover made it look like it was going to be the scariest thing you'd ever seen. But you're like, man, this looks like it's going to be terrifying, but I've never heard of it. And then you go and watch it, and you're like, this is why I haven't heard of it. This is a dumpster fire.
Yeah. And a lot of times... Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say it, but nowadays, it's just the B movies are so fantastic. Number one B-rated horror movie of all time is Thanksgiving. It's a Thanksgiving movie. It's a lovely holiday film about a demonic possessed turkey that has been in existence since the first Thanksgiving. I won't spoil the complex storyline, but I will say that it has the words "gobble gobble mother" in it once, and that's all you need to know.
Nice tits, bitch.
Oh my god, you know it. Have you seen it?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Right at the beginning of the movie.
My one of my best friends, we watched it one night. And this was when we were younger and even more irresponsible than we were now. He drank an entire bottle of Fireball because he hated it so much. He's just like, I'm going to take a drink of any time something bad happens in this movie.
Ooh. Here's how amazing this movie was. There is a Thanksgiving 3.
Oh my god, is it really?
There is not a Thanksgiving 2. The premise of Thanksgiving 3 is this two people trying to outsmart the turkey and destroy all the copies of Thanksgiving 2 as if it were E.T. for Atari. It's the most immaculate thing. It's such a complex and amazing storyline, and the fact that it was snubbed for the Oscars is nothing short of a travesty.
Yeah. I got a B movie for you. Zombievers.
Yes. I never got to watch it. I saw it on Netflix and never got to watch it. I'm adding it to my list.
It's got Bill Burr in it for some reason.
Well, I have up on my list is Killer Pinata and Jesus Christ Vampire Slayer.
Mm-hmm.
Or sorry, Jesus Christ Vampire Killer. That one's next on my list.
Yeah. So we have thoroughly gotten off track from plugging ourselves here.
Oh, don't trust me. I've been plugging myself the whole time,
buddy. Tomorrow night I'm playing World of Warships with Green Elite. We're trying it out together. I know at some point I'll probably be doing a Fallout New Vegas stream or series. Otherwise, I'll probably just be, my default will probably be Apex or Minecraft, kind of between the two of them right now. So, guys, I think that's all for this week, so we're going to wrap it all up here. We sincerely appreciate all of you for taking the time to watch and listen to the show. You guys are really the reason that we do the show, and we hope that each week we do bring you guys what you ask for. We hope that we bring you some joy, we bring you some information that you do need. If you guys missed any part of the show or want to catch up on some older episodes, you can always find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and everywhere podcasts are found.
Boom.
If you guys want to help support the show, the best way to do so is by giving us a like, subscribing, and ringing the bell on YouTube. Also dropping us a rating and review on the podcast platform of your choice. And the absolute best way, number one way to help us and help support the show is by telling your friends about us. Eyepoke has got he's eating his sign. He's eating his sign. Got it. We appreciate all of you. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we will talk to you guys again next week. Goodbye.
Bye.